So don't forget, at the end, I'm going to share you a secret link that you only can use during this premiere and 1-2 hours after it. So stick around, and I promise it will be worth your time. I know there are distractions like our mobile phone, and if you read a book, you're most likely set it on mute or throw it away like I already does. So it won't interrupt you and you won't miss crucial parts of it. And I believe that those insights can really change your life or the life of your loved ones for the better. So one new insight, one new belief can change my whole life and most probably yours as well. So, and I'm going to present you those things in the smallest possible chunks that you can consume it elegantly. Turn off your phones and give me your whole attention. You're probably wondering why I'm qualified to talk about these books and this topic. So it's really simple. First, how I digest books is really awesome because it's a simple technique I learned from Timothy Ferris. First, I'm going to mark interesting parts with a text marker the first time I'm reading through this book. The second time, it's like I wait every week to read it once again to get this knowledge up once again and then know the important stuff. So the first week I'm going to give 1 asterisk up until 3. So I'm going to read through the book 3 times, and the most crucial things are what I'm presenting you, the 3 asterisks thing. And the second thing we need to understand is that only 10% of people that are buying such a book are going to make it through the first chapter. And if you're like me and you bought several books that you started to read and didn't finish, it's really devastating because you know, hey, this is great, but I don't know why I couldn't continue. So I want to give you the shortcut, the 80-20 principles, and this is the third step I want to make you aware of. Most of the time, 20% of the effort will give you 80% of the success. It takes me like 5 to 10 hours to read through this book, and I'm going to present you in 20% of the time, 40 minutes, what's most notable about such a book. So, last but not least, knowledge only is potential power. This is why I'm repeating this so often, because once I repeat it 4 or 5 times, it's something that really sticks and I get to use this knowledge, because execution trumps knowledge every day of the week. So imagine what your life will be like if you get the greatest insight of books from really intelligent people, and in such a short period of time. Would this transform your life on a whole nother level? And would this make you better and will let you serve others? Today, I'm going to speak about learned optimism from Martin Seligman. In the Golden Nugget show, I'm going to present you what I read in the last week. Not actually in the last week, but what I read and what those golden nuggets, those greatest things from the books I read are. So, learned optimism is really crucial in a way to become a leader, because this is one of the first lessons you'll need to undertake on a journey to become a leader. If we think about it, how can I as a person lead somebody or someone? First, I need to be an example. Do you ever know when your parents or someone you knew smoked cigarette and he told you don't ever smoke, and you're like, who are you to tell me this? Who are you to tell me I shouldn't smoke, but on the other side you're smoking? Isn't this kind of weird? So this is one of the, I would say, harder things, to really get into yourself and get to know, hey, I need to solve my problems first, so I have it much easier on other people. Why is it that we see on like relationships, when someone has a problem, we can easily tell them, we see, hey, this is the root cause, this is your problem, this is how you can fix it. And most of the time they won't hear us, or if they hear us, they are like blinded, like in a fog. So this is the greatest principles. If you get anything but only this principle from today's show, I'm grateful, because this principle is really, really crucial. It's like if you fly on a plane and some accident happens and those masks come down, what do they want you to do first? First, you put the mask on yourself before you help any other around you. Why? Why should you do such a selfish act? Because if you help everyone around you and you go out of oxygen, you die. And that, you can't help another human soul. So put your mask on first, and this is the hardest step, and then you can help other people putting their masks on. So let's talk about learned optimism. Women, in fact, being more emotional label, are both happier and sadder than men. I find this really interesting, because men are like, have the tendency, I don't say that I have it, but men have the tendency to repel from all of their emotions, and women have the tendency to magnify most of their emotions, sad or good. So women become magnifying glass and men become more stable, because this is what's I would say a gender role, but this is not even a gender role. This is not even conditioning. This is in our biochemistry. This will be most likely a two-parter, because this is a really thick book. So stay tuned. The optimists who are confronted with the same hard knocks of this world think about misfortune in the opposite way. So when bad events happen to optimists, they think about it, oh, it's just this event. So, and pessimists say like, hey, this happens to me all the time. So this is a principle we get much further into the book, but this is a great thing to consider for later. Habits of thinking need not to be forever. Of one of the most significant findings in psychology in the last 20 years is that individuals can choose the way they think. This is really a great finding we had there, because all these thoughts that go inside our head, our brain, most of them, but I would say all of them, are habits, thought patterns, habits of thought. So if you think about it, studies has shown this, that 95 of our thoughts today we already had. 95% of those are the ones I had yesterday. So there is only so much room for new improvement. So this is why reading, why educating yourself is so crucial and so important, that you will think like a person, like a person that has the genius to put their information inside a book, and not only inside a normal book or a normal person, but a great book. If we think about it, not every book is great I read. I made it my mission that I only present you the greatest books I read. So if they're not really interesting, right now I'm reading a book that's not really making a part of the show would like take 2 or 3 minutes. So yes. Clever advertising creates desire in a moment where none existed before. So this is a bit from my marketing standpoint of view, but advertising, marketing is really only one thing: knowing your customer better than they know themselves, so you can create desire where none was before. So how can you define marketing then in particular? Marketing is the continual process to increase the desire for a product or service in your customer. Marketing, the intelligent formulated process increasing a desire for a product or service in your customer. This is so important to notice. Learned helplessness is the giving up reaction, the quitting response that follows from the belief that whatever you do doesn't matter. Explanatory style is the manner of which you habitually explain to yourself why events happen. So we all have this explanatory dialogue in our head, in our brain, and sometimes it's like, yeah, you fucked up, or yeah, this is all someone else's fault, or this is great, this is worse because of this, and hey, why did you came too late for work? Yeah, because of this and some other things happen. Others say, yeah, I just overslept. So how you explain yourself to yourself even will affect tremendously how you're going to be perceived and how you perceive the world. This is making sense? Each of us carries a word in his heart, a yes or a no. You probably don't know it intuitively, which word lives there, but you can learn with a fair degree of accuracy which it is. So internally we have some words that are representing like our worldview. If you're curious about things like I am, and I'm reading so much stuff, I'm doing so much seminars, I'm trying out so much things. It's easy, I think, for you to guess my internal word in my heart. It's a yes. I'm saying yes to variety, saying yes to exploration, yes to mentorship, yes to learning abilities. But this was not always the time, because I needed so long for my internal no to get to a yes. So no, I don't say that anything is better or worse. So we can't have people that are, for example, in business. In business, it's really important to have on the one side the visionary type of people, but if you only have in business visionary type of people, you get struck really hard when some things don't work out so well, and so you're not safe. You don't have someone who sees the bad things. So we want to have diversity, and because of this, there's so much variety in our society, and this is a great thing. There's one particular tip I recently got from a mentor of mine, and he said, if you really want to hurt your business, just hire people that are like you and that you like. No greater thing. We hire people that are like us because we like them, but if you're an entrepreneur, if we're a leader, for a leader position, it would be much easier because you want to develop him to take your job. But if you're wanting to keep or to be an entrepreneur to just fill a position, but you hire someone who's like you exactly, he will either learn everything you're doing and start his own business for the entrepreneurial type, or he will most likely make you obsolete. And if you don't want this, you educated someone who then leaves your company really soon because he wants to have the same position. And if you're not willing to give it up, you lose a really great person. Being passive can have two sources. You can learn to become passive if it pays off, or you can become passive if you give up completely, if you believe that nothing at all you do. So being passive is really a hard knock in life. If you're passive about things that are really needing your continual improvement, your continual doing, and it's really hard to fall for this trap. And the worst thing is if you're doing nothing and it pays off. Hey, I'm just keeping my mouth shut if my boss is ranting about something and I think my boss might not be right. But then there's this one person that shows up that says like all my colleagues think about, and he gets fired. Oh, so not saying anything worked out. And on the other hand, if you're being passive because you think you tried everything. I tried everything to lose weight. Oh, how many things did you try? 1,000? No, not probably 1,000. But I tried so much thing. I tried everything. Oh, so you tried hundreds of things? No. So how many things did you actually try? Maybe 3 or 4. Oh, so after four tries, you're telling me you tried everything and there's no other possibility to change, to really get a diet that sticks for you? Yeah. How many diets are out there? 100? 200? How many will it take that one finally will stick and will get you to your body you deserve? So we should be aware of the trap of the sorting and generalization, because our brain is the sorting we creatures that sort, delete, and generalizes. Our brain is so manufactured. Otherwise, we would go crazy. So actually, this is one of the greatest things you can do your own. Here in this book is a test to test your optimism. So this test had really great insights for me, and I had a really clear understanding on what to work on for the next several weeks or months to really diminish my shortfalls and get better in the things I'm already great in and really appreciate those. So this is, I would say, the heart of this book. There are only three crucial dimensions to your explanatory style: permanence, pervasiveness, and personalization. So what is permanence? Permanent is, there's a pessimistic and optimistic counterpart to it. The pessimist thinks something is permanent. The optimist says, oh, it's temporary. Diets never work, like we had earlier. And this is something the pessimist says. Oh, diets never work. I tried everything and nothing works, and it's permanent, and I can't change, and it won't even happen. What the optimist is saying is that diets work when you eat out. Hey, when I'm eating with my spouse, having a great dinner with them, this is just when I don't stick to my diet. But in the next moment, on the next meal, this diet will work because I stick to it much more. The second thing is pervasiveness. It's specific versus universal. Permanence is about time. Pervasiveness is about space. So let's give you an example. There are two things, specific versus universal. I'm smart at math. This is the specific type. This is the pessimistic one. The pessimistic person says, oh yeah, I'm only smart in this particular area. But the optimistic says, hey, because I'm good at math, I'm intelligent. I'm smart. Only smart. It's a universal belief system. And this is one thing we need to consider. Beliefs are what they called beliefs. I only believe them. And in what should I believe in? Yeah, beliefs are most of the time, like to 99%, are perception based. So I personally have a rule for myself. If it helps me, if it's positive for me, this belief, then I'm fine believing in it. And if it locks me up in a position where I'm stuck, I feel like, oh, this is something I need to work on, or oh, I can't go further. This is a belief I want to get rid of. personalization versus internal, so internal versus external. When bad things happen, we can blame ourselves, internalize, or we can blame other people or circumstances, externalize. So let's give an example. The person with low self-esteem blames internally. He blames, oh, I'm stupid, I'm insecure, I don't have talent, I'm not good. And the external person with high self-esteem blames the other person. You're stupid, I have no luck at poker, I grew up in poverty. This is the one that's not looking inside of him for the shortfalls, but also inside of others. A pessimistic explanatory style is at the core of depressed thinking. A negative concept of the future, the self and the world stems from seeing the causes of bad events as permanent, pervasive and personal, and seeing the cause of good events in the opposite way. What does this mean? It's a really nice little sentence. So if we think about it, so we as a leader don't want to talk about symptoms. We don't want to talk about the cause of something. The cause of my negative thinking is how my spouse treats me when I get home. The cause is that he never cleans the bathroom, that he never helps in the household. Yeah, this might be a cause, but we as a leader, when we lead our family as a woman, or when we lead ourselves, don't want to find causes, we want to find the source of the problem. Is there anyone in your life, and if they're not, there are certainly people, I know one of them, that loves cleaning? And everyone's like, okay, most of people hate cleaning, but there's one person who loves cleaning. This is all we want to hire. So we can see good and bad in everything. We can see the worst thing in cleaning our house, or it can be a much more pleasurable thing. So this is just an example that you can change your thinking. If some woman can love cleaning for their husband, for their kids, why shouldn't you be able to get to love it too? I don't say it's easy. I don't say you'll get frustrated or overwhelmed or some other bull will come up. And yes, but we can start loving things we once hated. This is the great thing about this book. The depressive shows 3 behavioral symptoms: passivity, indecisiveness, and suicidal action. So passivity we talked about, indecisiveness. So if I really don't know where to go, if I really can't articulate, hey, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, it's really hard for someone to really get excited or happy about anything. If I can't even say, hey, this makes me happy or this makes me sad, or I want this to continue or I want this to stop, I don't have anything that will give me pleasure or give me pain, and then my brain is like, should we do it? Should we not? I don't know. Everything seems to give pain. And this is when our evolutionary brain kicks in. Our evolutionary brain is like 2 million years old. and we will do much more than to avoid pain than we will ever to gain pleasure. This is because we needed to stay tuned because of saber-toothed tigers. And 100,000 years, this was a great mechanism, but today it's blocking us from getting where we really want to be. And the other thing is suicidal action. This is the third symptom, and I don't really need to talk about, hey, when someone is depressed and seems like there's no way out, and they're like, hey, there's nothing much more left, but somewhat in their brain, because they don't really suicide there. It's just suicidal action. It's just hurting themselves. Somewhere in their brain links still up that dying is much more painful than not dying. And when you're in this place, it's really devastating, and really getting to the root cause of the problem, not just labeling someone with, hey, you're depressed. This is the worst thing our therapy can actually do. If we think about depression just as a habit or a thought, as a pattern, we can easily change it. But if it's how we define ourselves, if we take upon this role, if it's our identity, this is when it really starts to get hard to change. My mother, for example, she was really long a smoker, and my dad also, and he still smokes. But then she had an aneurysma in her brain, so she needed to be operated, and because of this, from there on, she's on the left side. She can't move her left side anymore. And because of the significant emotional event where she said, this aneurysma came because of my blood cluttering inside my head. So smoking is really a source of this cluttering. She linked up, hey, smoking means death. She couldn't even smoke anymore. And my father, on the other hand, made this event through with her, because it was devastating to see her like this in the hospital. So he didn't link up smoking to this event. He linked up smoking not to the significant event, and because of this he still smokes. So if therapy goes along and says, hey, you're depressed, you're disabled, you can't ever walk again, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will happen because you give yourself this label, this identity, and then you'll never get out of there unless some significant emotional event took place. When do people usually stop smoking? When the doctor is telling them, hey, you have cancer, lung cancer. Then they suddenly stop, because smoking now means death. You are living on a tyranny of shoulds. Stop shooting on yourself. So this is a really great thing. if we ever tell ourselves, oh, I should do this, oh, I should start working out, oh, I should this, or should that, we really should all over ourselves. We say we don't ever commitment, deciding to do it or don't. This is when your whole life will really change. If you think about it, what is a decision? A decision from its Latin roots means to cut off any other possibility. So if you said you decided to work out every day and you skip leg day, you didn't decide. You only set a preference. A real decision means to never skip leg day again in your life. In this particular yes. I don't came up with the word, but it's okay. Science is rooted in common sense, though. So this is a quote from Alfred North Whitehead, a philosopher and a great mathematician, actually. This is an interesting thing we need to consider. Yeah, it's science said this, science said that, but if it's rooted in common sense, this is what science is based off, then we can finally understand why there were other cultures before ours that had such a tremendous other view of the world, other view of technology, how it arises. If the common sense paradigm shifts, rich women have twice as much depression as rich men, and unemployed women twice as much as employed men. So let's first talk about rich women. One of the worst things is when you're a rich woman and it's like no one wants to hear your problems anymore. And this is one of the most devastating things for women. Why? Because women actually need to talk about their problems to get rid of them. I'm not telling you that they feel better when they talk about them. No, they actually sometimes they feel worse, but afterwards they feel light. They feel really, really great. And an unemployed woman has twice as much depression as unemployed man. So like we said earlier, it's really crucial that men, this is like a woman and man's other world perspective. Women tend to make small things really big, and because of this they magnify those negative emotions. And when they are running, it's like when you learn to tie your shoes, how long did it take for the first time? 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. And until you did it like 20 or 30 times, it's like this instant, and you don't think about tying your shoes anymore because it's integrated in your soul, in your habit patterns. So if you integrate in yourself, because you're much more, because it's much easier for you to fall into these patterns of depression, of negative thought, because of your biochemistry, then you can't even imagine what this will make with you until you mastered depression, until you mastered to to tie your shoes, you don't even think about it. It just runs this pattern. And you're putting on your shoes, tying them, and you don't even thought about tying them. You just thought about, I want to go outside. And because of this, you get into depression. Oh. And so we men tend to make it really small, so it's not this important. And this is another thing, how we men handle problems. So for women out there, yeah, this is what you man should do. He should hear your problems out. But what women need to understand is that men don't actually want to talk about their problems. How we handle our problems is in either of two ways. Either we solve them, and if they are right now too big to be solved, we partially forget about them. Have you ever wondered why, when you're having a big discussion with your man, he just went out there talking to his friends like nothing happened? He just went playing some games or watching TV, and you're like, does he even care? Yes. It's hard of him because he tries to do nothing about it. He tries to forget about it because it's so stressful for him. This is how we deal with stress, women. The self-improving self actually improves itself. So this is like the whole personal development, yeah, and then I read, and then I do this and this and this movement we are having right now on YouTube and on the whole world. And I personally think that most of them take it way too far, that they need to be too significant about what they're doing on a daily basis, that they just stop enjoying the process of getting better, of improving. So this is a great principle you can establish in yourself. Hey, it's natural for yourself to improve. It's not natural to stagnate. People who don't believe change is possible will indeed remain incapable of change. This is a hard one. Let's do a quick test to really get to know why I only marked this sentence about this topic. Just look around in your room. It's much more, this test is greater when you're in a room you actually don't know that, but just do it anyway. Look around your room and look out for brown stuff. Brown, 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 brown. And now close your eyes, please. And now tell me everything you saw in your room that was green. Not so much? Now open your eyes again. And now look for everything that's green. Oh, green, green, green. Here's green, there's green. Now you're seeing much more green than brown. And let me tell you something. You actually saw beige stuff, but said it was brown to feel more successful. This is actually a really important thing we need to think about our brain. It's called RAS, Reticular Activating System. This just means we see what we're looking for. If you're looking for that change is not possible, we don't see any opportunity in changing. And our beliefs determine what we're looking for. And if I have the belief change is not possible, I'm not even looking for changing. A composer can have all a talent of a Mozart and a passionate desire to succeed. But if he believes he cannot compose music, he will come to nothing. He will not try hard enough. He will give up too soon when the elusive right melody takes too long to materialize. Success requires persistence, the ability to not give up in the fact of failure. I believe that optimistic explanatory style is the key to persistence. Aptitude, motivation, and optimism, all three determine success. I just want to have this here in the room because I don't need to say anything about this. Explanatory style sets in early. So this is an interesting thing we need to think about when we are having children. They really start. How do children learn in the first place? They learn by viewing their environment. They just do what daddy or mama's doing. So if you really want to be a great parent, live how you want them to live. If you really want to give them the greatest advice, don't just talk to them, do it actually, and they will start doing it again. The greatest gift you can give to your children is having a magnificent relationship with each other. Why? Because the children will notice, hey, no matter what happens, mommy and daddy are going to be there, and this gives them security. And they will see, oh, daddy's treating mommy like this. So as a girl, I should be treated from a man like this. And as a man, as a boy, you notice, oh, this is how I should treat women. And this is a really great thing to consider if you're talking about putting your mask on first. If you want to have your kids have great relationships, to have success in life, live it. Don't talk about it. If you talk about something, it's a dream. If you begin to plan it, it gets possible. But only if you schedule it, it is real. And then you actually act upon your knowledge. Einstein once said that knowledge is power. But this is only the first half of his quote. The true quote goes like following. Knowledge only is potential power. Execution is the true power. Execution trumps knowledge every day in the week. If you think about it, what could I do? What is the source? Would you say I'm really powerful if I have all the knowledge in the world, but just lay in my bed and watching some TV shows that are they must not even be good, but they are good, but I'm just laying down in bed and doing like nothing? Or would you consider this person more powerful if there's a person that is the greatest salesman alive and he goes out there, makes a fortune for his family, for his community, and actually shares this wealth with everyone around him? Would you say that this person is more powerful really as the person that knows everything? Yeah, what an example. Yes, he's more powerful because he is doing more with his knowledge. He's utilizing it. Oh, what a concept. But once they started to fail, an astonishing difference emerged. The helpless children's problem-solving strategies deteriorated down to the first grade level. So if you want to have stupid kids, teach them how to be pessimistic. Being angry and fighting are not human rights. Fighting is a human choice, and it is your child's well-being more than yours that may be at stake. What does he mean by this? If your kid's fighting and he's fighting and fighting and fighting, being angry, this is not really something we should be proud of, or we're something we should be righteous about, that we are allowed to be angry. Yes, from time to time we should get angry, and yes, some situation might really so worse that being angry is really important, but maybe anger is just another action signal we need to take to change something in our life. And does being angry ever change or solve the problem? Most likely not. Most of the time you would be much more resourceful in a positive emotional state than anger. Yeah, but some people see anger as fuel, as, oh, if I get angry, I'm having this power. So what I personally believe is that I can find other vehicle emotions to get this certainty that I can dominate the situation than anger. Consider a pessimistic person who believes that sickness is permanent, pervasive, and personal. Nothing I do matter, he believes. So why do anything? If we are really honest to ourselves, I certainly was once in a situation like this, but luckily I have thought patterns or habitual patterns that took me out of this state like instantaneously. But how do you create a pattern? You use it over and over and over again. So if you get into this pattern like too often, you're trapped inside of it, and getting out there is really, really hard. So we need to consider that most of our patterns start with a belief. Those start in our physiology, or in our focus, in our language, or in the meaning we give to this language. If I'm telling you, hey, I'm so depressed, nothing I do matter, and so why should I do anything? This might be a logic consequence if I really believe this shit. But like we discussed earlier, beliefs are perception based. So if we like to change our perception about a particular thing, we first want to change our beliefs. But then the question is, how do I change a belief? Let me give you one simple small tip. Any habit, any pattern that you interrupt enough will render useless. As we have seen, the optimist bounces back from defeat, and with his life somewhat poorer, he picks up and starts again. The pessimist gives up and falls into depression. So this is this is basically every story of every entrepreneur on this world, of every really successful people on this world. I fell to the ground, I got knocked down to my knees, and then I got right back up. Oh, maybe all of them were just optimistic and not pessimistic like failures are. It is essential to realize your beliefs are just that, beliefs. They may or may not be facts. This is what I'm telling you like the third time right now. Realize your beliefs are nothing but beliefs, and they can be changed instantaneously. I never saw a belief that I couldn't change like in an instant. We need to talk about one thing if you're talking so much about beliefs right now. There are three kinds of beliefs, I would say, or three steps of creating a belief, a conviction. The first step is Meinung. Wait. The first step is having an opinion, a view on something. So, some great person once said that opinions are the cheapest good estate, property, material in our society. So if we're thinking about the three classes of beliefs, the first class is the opinion. And the opinion is like a table with one leg. You can easily bounce it out to the side and it falls apart. A belief is somewhat stronger. A belief is a desk with several legs. So it's really hard to knock him over, but you can land a precise slice on the legs and everything falls apart. But then there's the third state, and this is where I told, hey, this is an identity belief and conviction. This is when you have so much beliefs, there are so much references. Those are those legs from those tables. So much references, and they're glued together with emotional intensity. This is the glue that takes them together. You can hit them from either side, but you can't get through it. So you really need some really hard knock, some really hard stuff to get it through, some emotion, some emotional event that will destroy all this glue once and for all, to really get rid of this conviction and get rid of this belief in the first place. Practice disputing your automatic interpretations all the time from now on. So this is just to wrap this book up. You made there some really great. Let me search for it. It's like every time you're looking for something, you don't find it. I love it. So this is like here it's like a working book for several days. You use it, and yeah, it's really interesting to get under your beliefs and disrupt them actually. And this is his call to action, I would say, at the end, to really use the stuff you learned in this book. Like we discussed earlier, knowledge is only the potential of power. What if your dark explanation is right? Is it the end of the world? So, if you really consider, if we explain that something is really worse and it's really bad, what will happen if it's really alright? It's Corona's, I think, one of the greatest examples. Some people said that the state, the government, wants to implement all chips in us and wants to get rid of everything and everyone to diminish the population rate. And what if it was so? What if this dark explanation is right? Is this the end of the world? So if it's right and those people don't get vaccinated, for example, for them it's not the end of the world. So they can live on. And if it's not right, then everything seems much greater. The life committed to nothing larger than itself is a meager life indeed. Human beings require context of meaning and hope. It's like in the other book from Viktor Frankl, like he wrote when he was in Auschwitz as a Jew. He wrote that those who seem to have given up hope, a few days later, they died. So if you don't have a meaning or hope in your life that things will work out for the better for you, your family, your loved ones, your life is almost over. So don't ever lose hope. Don't ever lose your faith in being here for a reason. So this wraps up the book from Martin Seligman, Learned Optimism. This was one of the greatest books I read in the last few months, I would say, because I'm educating so much right now myself, and this was one I really wanted to start this show with. Is it okay to present you an offer I created for you to really implement the golden nuggets you hear today? So I really personally believe that hearing something once won't get you anywhere. This is like hearing and then forgetting it instantaneously. So we want to repeat the knowledge we are perceiving to really get it into action. And so I created a free PDF that you can read it, because I'm like a person who reads a lot, and it's like my natural way of getting information. So what this means is, if you want to download today's episode PDF, just go on my website, flowingfunnel.com/golden-nugget-show. Link is in the description as well. Download the book sheet, download the free PDF, and have it there to get it really implemented into your life.